Come closer. Fear not. Why have you come to my 1,000-year-old tomb? In truth, my world was not so different from yours. Deep in their hearts, humans resemble each other, and that will not change anytime soon. Dreams are sometimes more telling than historical facts. The greatest dream of my time was the ideal of chivalry. To be a knight is to offer the very best of yourself, day after day, inspired by 4 virtues: love, prowess, largesse, and loyalty. Come closer now and look at this book. You will live the greatest adventure that the men and women of my time ever told, that of King Arthur and his round table. Hector, Kay, and Arthur arrived in London after a long journey. The herald goes to announce the second day of the tournament.
Uther High King, all this day is for you. Slain by Saxons, oh so brave and so true. Victors, you will pull the sword as your due. Man from all this land so wide, now do stand here side by side. Oh, what gallantry and pride! How the hardy men did shine by their valor and their ardor yesterday. But the boldest of them all, the King of Orkney, was the victor in the fray. Oh, the blood and agony, the fearful cries when ladies saw the helmets play. All eyes were on King Lot. He seized the sword in stone, but it refused to give. He will not have the throne, for it is worthiness, not strength, that must be shown.
Our knights respectfully salute the man dressed in Uther Pendragon's colours. "Greetings, sires, and welcome to London," he exclaims. "I am Elias, herald of this city." "It is a pleasure to see you at this illustrious tournament," he says cheerfully. "By the way, Sir Hector and Sir Kay, you are fighting in the main event later today." King Lot of Orkney is powerful and fearsome, both on the battlefield and at court. He grips his allies' hearts with fear and sows terror among his enemies. He must surely be coming to terms with his failure to remove the sword from the stone. Sir Kay and Sir Ector must fight Sir Aguisance and Sir Meliant of Lys on horseback. They are formidable opponents. Aguisance is the vassal of King Lot, who was the victor yesterday on the first day of the tournament. Like his sovereign, Aguisance is an outstanding fighter. He is known to be feisty and insolent. Meliant, meanwhile, is a promising young knight. He has great strength, yet he's contemptuous and immature. When High King Uther died, Merlin, a very wise enchanter indeed, put a sword into the stone in front of St. Paul's Cathedral. Whoever manages to remove it will be Uther's successor. And that is the reason for this tournament. Every knight who wins the day's events earns a turn at trying to pull out the sword. Before our hero turns away, Elias says a knight is waiting for Sir Ector farther down the road. When Ulfius spots our heroes, he exclaims with earnest joy, "Here is my dear old Ector! Ah, dear friend, how happy I am to see you. And these must be your sons, Kay and Arthur." Ulfius is delighted. What a long time it has been, good old Ector. Let's have a friendly duel on foot, just you and me, to see which of us has the oldest bones. He shows his former companion the blunt weapons they'd be using, but only to the first touché, he adds. Ector and Ulfius prepare for the battle, both quite excited to fight each other once again.
There are 4 main types of challenges in the game. Unopposed challenges, opposed challenges, margin-based opposed challenges, and finally, persuasion challenges, which we'll cover in a separate video. Unopposed challenges are the simplest. The difficulty is fixed and known in advance. For example, taming an animal. You attempt the challenge, compare your total to the difficulty. If you meet or exceed it, you succeed. In opposed challenges, the difficulty depends on the will of another character. A good example, a military strategy challenge. In this case, there are 2 roles. The initiator, who acts first, and the target, who responds afterward. The initiator plays their card without knowing the opponent's total, so you'll have to guess, and often it's safest to play your strongest card. Pro tip: to gauge an opponent's strength in combat, check their vocation level at the bottom of the screen. There are 12 levels in total. The higher it is, the harder the challenge will be. Margin-based opposed challenges work just like a regular opposed challenge. But this time, it's the difference between the 2 scores that matters. That margin determines things like how much damage is dealt in an attack challenge. As in most role-playing games, Legends of the Round Table uses challenges to resolve situations with uncertain outcomes. But unlike traditional RPGs, Legends of the Round Table uses a card system instead of dice to determine results. Your deck contains 14 different cards, numbered from 1 to 13, plus the Grail cards. Each card belongs to one of the 4 chivalric virtues: love, prowess, largesse, and loyalty. These virtues are also linked to the seasons of the year: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, respectively. Seasons mostly come into play when casting spells. Grail cards are special. Their value ranges from 14 to 24, but it's only revealed after the challenge is resolved, meaning you can't predict the outcome in advance. They also don't belong to any virtue, so you can't enhance them with inspiration points. For more on that, check the inspiration rules. The number of Grail cards in your deck can range from 0 to 4, depending on your group's cohesion. At the start of the game, the 13 cards are missing from your deck. To unlock them, you must have one of your knights sit on the Siege Perilous, the 13th seat at the Round Table. But beware, the seat is enchanted. When a knight dares to sit on it, they must face a very difficult challenge, and if they fail, they're consumed by a column of celestial fire. Also note, those powerful 13 cards will only appear in your deck when the Knight of the Siege Perilous is actually present.
Exhausted, the two friends decide to call it quits. At this rate, they won't last long, Ulfius laughs. Hector catches his breath, then thanks his friend for the fight. The old knight is in good condition, but in any case, he will never stop fighting. It is out of the question. He dreams of a glorious death on the battlefield. Indeed, it is a great tournament, bustling with activity. Knights from all over the kingdom have come here to face off and take their chances at winning. Ulfius does not much care for King Lot. He thinks Lot will be quick to sow discord if someone other than he pulls the sword from the stone and becomes High King of Britain. The old warrior would certainly like to have a go at it, but he's far less enthusiastic about becoming High King of Britain. Whoever takes over Uther's throne will have many an enemy. Kay and Hector could persuade the herald to give them a flattering introduction before their battle in the lists. This would make quite an effect and give them a certain advantage. On the other hand, adds old Ulfius with a laugh, it would be wise to have a few pennies in your pocket to be more persuasive. The knight holds back our heroes a moment. I saw a tearful young woman in London, Ulfius says. If you help her, she'll be delighted to choose one of you as her champion. There's nothing like the prospect of winning a lady's favor to strengthen one's courage. When he hears this, Kay sneers. He does not need a lady to be brave. Ulfius starts laughing. Hector rolls his eyes and then thanks his friend. Nothing can be done over there. Kay and Hector have come to take part in the tournament being held inside of the city walls. knights play chess in the shelter of a pavilion. The game seems to drag on and on. A knight with an impressive head of blonde hair notices our hero signaling that he would like to have a word. The knight greets him. This man, dressed in azure and gold, is called Orion. Orion is King of Gore and King Lot's rival. I am married to the most fierce woman in all of Britain. For that reason alone, I will make the best High King this land has ever known. He laughs. Orion was delighted yesterday to see Lot fail to pull the sword from the stone. But Lot must not be underestimated, as he is a warrior and a leader. It is said that this sword just appeared one fine morning. In his opinion, there is enchantment about it all. But regardless, the knight is determined to try his hand and to succeed. The King of Gore pays no further attention to our hero. An elderly knight greets our hero cheerfully. Dressed in gules and silver crosses, the man says his name is Baldwin. Baldwin is a very pious knight who usually lives like a hermit. The knight would be lying if he said he was not dying to try it too. He may not have won the day before, but he hopes to make up for it today or tomorrow. Baldwin laughs and says he certainly would never speak ill of King Lot. The knight wishes our hero good day. In the pavilion, two knights are loudly talking over each other, arguing who will win the day's fights. The two knights have not finished their impassioned discussion. For the moment, it seems that no worldly force could stop them from arguing. A knight, as strong as an ox and as broadly built, trains intensely. He seems to have enough stamina to continue all day without tiring. He greets our hero. The man's name is Brastias. He admits he's not much for conversation. Not a big talker, Brastias shares only that he was captain of the Royal Guard before King Uther Pendragon died. King Lot's reputation already speaks for itself, he sneers. He has nothing else to add. The man does not need the chimera of a prize at the end of a tournament to make him want to fight. At the end of the conversation, the knight wasn't even out of breath. A king with emaciated, almost razor-sharp features tears apart a chicken leg with a smug look on his face. He does not even deign to look at our hero. Our heroes are excited to see where they will show off their skills. Here is the tournament lists. There is already a knight there, kneeling in prayer. A knight, wearing gules and silver, prays, kneeling in the middle of the lists. The man murmurs a quiet greeting before saying his name is Aguisance. The knight answers rudely that the only way for a man to truly know another is to fight him. Aguisance gravely explains that he is a Christian. He prays for his soul should he die in the next battle. The knight says nothing as our hero leaves him. Amazed, our knights pass the majestic gate to London, the largest town in all of Britain. Behind a stall selling rare and precious fabrics, a bronze-skinned merchant with a broad smile greets our knight. The merchant, named Basil, sells the most beautiful and fine products. The man first shows muslin and camlet, and then various silk fabrics. Alpine, pale, cycloton, osterine, sandal, samite, and more. Though the names are too many for our hero to remember, he's dazzled by the fabric's colors, textures, and sheen. Basil is delighted to be selling his wares in London. The tournament brings people from all over the country, and this is very good for business. He misses Constantinople, of course, but Britain is an enchanting land. Basil hopes our knight will come back to his shop before the end of the tournament. young people, a noble damsel and a gallant knight, hold hands, oblivious to the world around them. Their eyes glow with passion. As if awakened from a dream, the damsel and the knight slowly greet our heroes. The damsel's name is Carenza, and the knight is Milliant of Lys. Since meeting this brave and handsome knight, the young lady has never been happier. Milliant is so strong. No competitor should dare claim they will win the tournament, she says joyfully. He is the happiest man on earth, he says, and his beloved is the ravishing Carenza. Furthermore, he cannot wait to snatch victory from Hector and Kay. No offense, he says confidently, but you are no match for me. Carenza boasts of the strength and depth of her love for Milliant. She then recounts their first meeting by the fountain in London's wealthy district. Our hero sees it's hard to stop her once she gets started on this topic. Carenza is a blessing. He would do anything for her. Plus, she whets his appetite for victory and glory. In a voice full of admiration, the young woman declares that her sweetheart, Milliant, is already a champion. Hearing this, the knight puffs out his chest. The young lady is all too eager for Milliant to withdraw the sword and be crowned High King of Britain. She is already imagining herself queen of this land. Milliant thinks he has a good chance of pulling the sword from the stone. He is young, strong, courageous, and handsome too. He thinks Britain would have much to gain if he became High King. While Milliant mumbles goodbye to our hero, Carenza has already forgotten our knight. So focused is she on her beloved. Our heroes spot a very young lady sobbing her heart out. The sleeves of her pretty blue dress have been torn off. Kay laughs at her, but Arthur says nothing. In the end, it is Hector who comforts the girl. Her eyes full of tears, she says, "Sire, I am so ashamed for you to see me in such a state. My name is Neris, and from now on, I will also be known as the damsel with the short sleeves. It is the fault of her older sister, Carenza, who tore off her sleeves. She could not stand it when I made the teeniest criticism of her bow, the so-called proud and magnificent Meliant of Lys, says the damsel, grimacing. Neris and her sister, Carenza, have come with their father, Sir Thibaut of Tintagel, who is now resting from yesterday's duels. The young lady with the short sleeves will not soon forget how her sister has wronged her. The odious girl is only interested in Meliant, as if he were the best knight in the world, which is far from the case, she adds, wrinkling her nose. All the knights are going crazy over this sword. Whoever pulls it out will be the most powerful man in Britain. She'll gladly accept Hector as her champion if he can find her precious sleeves. The young lady smiles. If Sir Hector could, she would be truly delighted, and her heart would be soothed. The damsel invites our hero to come and talk with her whenever he likes. Two guards block the path. "Halt there," says one with authority. "No one may go further." Their stern, unsympathetic faces show that they do not feel like chatting. Our knight looks for the sleeves of the younger lady, and he finds them at the bottom of the pool, but they are in terrible condition. 2 guards stop our hero again. He may not pass. The Byzantine merchant is delighted to see our hero, whom, once again, he greets eloquently. The merchant examines the 2 pieces of fabric with a vexed look. "Sire," he says, "what happened to such beautiful sleeves? But fine, I will take care of them. It will cost you nothing, only 60 pennies.
To persuade someone, your knights must face a persuasion challenge. Here's how it works. First, choose the type of argument you want to use. There are up to 4 options available, each tied to one of the chivalric virtues. For example, to speak in the name of love, simply pick the dialogue line that reflects that virtue. Each virtue comes with a modifier, positive, neutral, or negative. And depending on the context, certain types of arguments will be more effective than others. These modifiers will directly impact your final result. Pro tip, check your hand before making your choice, because the only cards playable will be the ones of the chosen virtue. And don't forget to look at your knight's traits. The one with the most inspiration points in the chosen virtue will have the clear advantage. Since this is an opposed challenge, your approach also depends on your position. If your knights are initiating the challenge, you play first, but you won't know the difficulty in advance. If you're defending against persuasion, your opponent goes first. The difficulty is revealed, and you can adapt your response accordingly.
Hands on hips, the merchant hears our hero out. Then, with an exasperated wave of his hand, he declares his price is firm. Basil laughs. Our hero does not know what he's missing. The merchant works fast and well. He repairs the loose seams and swiftly cleans the sleeves before drying them over the fire. They are now in incredible condition and look like new. Basil hopes our knight will come back to his shop before the end of the tournament. Neris, still sorrowful, welcomes our hero once again, but with a faint look of hope. The young girl wipes tears from her eyes. What joy the sight of these immaculate sleeves brings her! To spite her sister and to show her gratitude to Hector, Neris happily agrees to let Hector be her champion. Hector laughs kindly. She's far too young to be his beloved. Yet he is a courteous man, so he willingly agrees to defend the damsel's honor. And so she entrusts him with one of her precious sleeves. The damsel invites our hero to come and talk with her whenever he likes. Elias waits for our knight's signal to announce the next battle. Aguisance and Million also stand ready to face off against Hector and Kay. Emphatically and poetically, the herald proclaims how Aguisance has accomplished such fine feats thanks to his ardor and daring. He also introduces Million of Lys, whose strength is well proven. Then it is Hector and Kay's turn. Though Elias praises the experience of the first and the ardor of the second, our knights feel he could have presented them better. Now, let the duel begin. Alas, Arthur lost Kay's sword. Kay spitefully accuses his brother of being a bad squire. It's impossible for him to fight without his trusted sword. So now, here he is, stuck on the sidelines. Fortunately, Orpheus arrives to fight alongside Hector.
There are 3 types of damage in the game: slash, thrust, and concussion. Each piece of armor offers different levels of protection depending on the type of damage. For example, a gambeson provides solid defense against concussion, but is fairly weak against thrust. Mail armor, on the other hand, is excellent against slash, but not very effective against thrust either. It's often worth knowing which type of damage your opponent is less protected against. To find out, use the Examine button, then switch the interface to the Armor Protection view. If you spot a body part with weaker protection, you can use the Aimed Attack action to target that area and maximize your damage. Now keep in mind that some weapons, and all armor, can break under certain conditions. Cavalry lances automatically break during a charge if the attacker's total is an odd number. Shields have a 1 in 3 chance of breaking when the defender's total is lower than the attacker's by up to 3 points. For example, if you score 20 and your opponent is between 20 and 22, there's a chance the shield breaks. Note, shields can't break from ranged attacks. Armor pieces can also break. This happens only if the defender loses the defense challenge and played a card of the same virtue or season as the attacker. Each body part can have up to 3 layers of armor, but only the last remaining layer is at risk of being broken. Surrendering for ransom is a central feature of knightly combat. In Arthurian literature, this act wasn't considered dishonorable. Quite the opposite, in fact. That said, not all fighters can request or accept a ransom. Only knight-class combatants, those whose names begin with Sir or Knight, have this privilege. During combat, a knight can surrender for ransom at any time during their turn, as long as they're close enough to their opponent. This action doesn't cost any action points. The receiving knight must then pass a Wisdom plus Courtesy challenge to accept the surrender. The difficulty depends on the grudge modifier, a value that reflects how much harm the surrendering knight's faction has caused to the other. If the surrender is accepted, the knight who yields becomes unavailable for the rest of the adventure and loses opulence points based on their standard of living. Of course, the reverse is also true. The knight who accepts the surrender gains opulence points, depending on the wealth of the captive. However, beware. Refusing mercy to a knight who formally surrenders results in the loss of 1 honor point.
skillful and precise. Our knights fought with fabulous power and speed. How beautiful to see such a duel. Spectators were awed to watch young knights defeated by two older warriors. Elias proclaims Orpheus and Hector victorious. Kay will have one last chance to shine. The next tournament will pit Kay and Baldwin against Orion and Brastias. But for now, those who have just fought should go and rest. Kay, red with rage, orders his brother to find him a sword, and fast. Feeling ashamed, Arthur only has himself to rely on. Baldwin smiles broadly as our hero arrives. Baldwin is very sorry for him. After a few words of encouragement, he tells Arthur that there is an old man outside the city who might be able to help him. The knight wishes our hero good day. Seeing our knight return, Orion gestures distractedly at him. Orion snorts mockingly. Losing your nice sword! Ha! Now I have heard it all. Furthermore, he adds, he's not one to lend things, especially not his sword. The King of Gore pays no further attention to our hero. The triumphant damsel leaps for joy. Hector really put up a good fight. His victory has fully restored her honor. Now my sister can cry in shame, she exclaims. Carenza must be at her beloved's bedside, tending his wounds, and his self-esteem, Neri's tinkling laugh, rises softly. Neris opens her eyes wide. She has no idea. The damsel invites our hero to come and talk with her whenever he likes. A little wary and very imposing, Brastias asks if there is anything he can do for our knight. Brastias does not know what to say, so he does not reply. The knight remains silent as Arthur turns away from him. A king with emaciated, almost razor-sharp features awaits the next stage of the face-off. He does not even deign to look at our hero. Arthur is unable to rouse this blond knight, dressed in gules and gold, from his torpor. The outcome of the last fight seems to have plunged him into deep dismay. This knight, lost in thought, does not react when Arthur greets him. Elias is delighted to see our hero again. He asks how he can help. Elias replies dryly that a good squire would never lose his knight's sword. Seeing him head off, Elias asks that he's available if our hero has more questions. Beyond the palisade on the outskirts of London, a moor grows full of wild weeds, and the ancient Roman road runs through it. This oak tree's boughs reach high into the sky. The broad trunk has a solid wooden door. Someone lives here. Arthur knocks, and the door opens. He climbs a long staircase, spiraling up into the darkness of the trunk. The inside of the oak tree looks more like a nest than a home. There are natural elements all around: stones, painted or engraved driftwood, mistletoe over the hearth, and above all, a prodigious quantity of feathers. An old, sickly-looking man with a humped back greets our hero in a weak voice. He's peeling lopsided, yellowish tubers. "Welcome to my esprit-moi, young squire," says the old man in a hoarse but warm voice. "My name is Linnerm." Linnerm sighs and replies plaintively that his back hurts so much and he has so much rheumatism. Oh, indeed, every day is an ordeal. He does not think he will be around much longer. The old man smiles and says, "It's an extremely precious tuber. I brought it back from a long voyage across the sea. It looks like an apple, but it grows underground. I had the idea this morning to try frying them. Linnerm will help Arthur, provided the young man can find him some mandrake root. The old man needs the plant's juice to treat his aching back. He also warns our hero. The mandrake will howl and curse the person who pulls it out of the ground. It is said that, rather than doing it yourself, you can make an animal pull it out. This plant has human-shaped roots and is male or female. It is born from the seed of the hanged. It is used as an aphrodisiac, an antivenom, and a painkiller. Arthur says goodbye, but when the old man says, Arthur repeats his words of farewell. The dog pays no attention to our hero, so busy is he scratching and clawing at the ground. He must be looking for a long-forgotten bone from a hanged man. A dead yew tree, stripped of its needles, looms ominously. It is the hanging tree of London. A mangy, stray dog tirelessly scratches at the ground. This rope will be perfect for uprooting the mandrake, once tied to both the plant and the dog. Using the rope, Arthur approaches the dog, who starts to growl. With firm, stern words, Arthur coaxes the dog into letting him approach. Our hero slips the rope around its neck and ties the other end to the mandrake. He whistles, and the dog runs off at full speed, pulling out the magic plant, which screams a terrible curse at the dog that runs away as if the devil himself were on its heels. Arthur retrieves the mandrake that has finally stopped squealing. Linnerm nods to Arthur as the Esprimoire door closes. The old man is delighted. To thank our hero, he gives him a grimoire and a purse full of pebbles. Use the inscription inside to enchant the purse, says Linnerm kindly. With a wink, he adds that there is indeed a sword along the way, beyond the 2 guards posted in front of the stone enclosure inside London.
In Legends of the Round Table, there are 2 types of magic: general magic and quest magic. General magic can be cast almost any time. It represents Merlin's influence, or that of other magical forces, watching over Arthur and his knights. This type of magic mostly affects your cards, and only rarely alters the real world. Quest magic, on the other hand, is tied to specific adventures. Since your knights aren't sorcerers, they can only cast these spells with the help of a magician or a magical creature they meet during their journey. These spells can only be used at specific moments, and they're often crucial to completing the adventure. To craft a spell, click on the Grimoire button in the lower part of your screen. This will open the spellcrafting interface. From there, select the spell you wish to create. Each spell requires a specific combination of cards. To figure it out, you'll need to solve the spell's formula riddle. Each card in your deck is tied to a chivalric virtue, and each virtue is linked to a season. Love is spring, prowess is summer, largesse is autumn, and loyalty is winter. In addition, each card represents a plant from the Celtic calendar, with its Latin name shown at the bottom. Once the spell is crafted, it will appear in your inventory, under the Magic tab. To cast a spell, simply click on any that isn't grayed out. And if you find yourself in a tight spot during combat, don't forget to create a spell. Not only might it help you at that very moment, but the cards you used to create it will be replaced, potentially with better ones. Keep in mind, you can only store 1 copy of each spell in your inventory, and you can't open the grimoire during a challenge. So don't wait until the last minute. Craft your spells as soon as you have the right combination of cards.
What a lovely fountain in the middle of the square. The gentle splashing of the water adds life to the scene. When Arthur casts the spell the old man gave him, the purse begins to gleam. And inside, the plain old pebbles have turned into precious gems. What a lovely fountain in the middle of the square. The gentle splashing of the water adds life to the scene. The two guards stop our hero again. He may not pass. The guards open their eyes wide and pounce on the purse. Consumed with greed, they are too busy fighting over how to divide the gemstones to pay Arthur any mind. Among the silence and the cold, a sword rises up from a stone. Is that not the prize for the tournament?
I see the sword there gleaming, and I, silent and trembling, approach the rock to seize the sword. Oh, what rare and...
You, what have you done? Cries an angry voice to the terrified Arthur. Get out of here, you beardless squire. Do you think you are the next High King? Lot mocks Arthur, shoving him out of the way. He, one of the top knights, just cannot bring himself to give up. He yanks on the hilt of the sword, but it will not budge an inch. Drawn to the scene, a crowd gathers. Observed by so many knights, Lot finally gives in. People look on in amazement. Arthur approaches the sword.
Now they see the sword there gleaming, the crowd all silent and trembling. With wonderment in awe they gaze, for Lot is so virulent. Arthur, cries a voice so old, the day has come just as foretold. Now take the sword, for you are the one. You are Uther and I grandson. By my own hand, you are the true heir. So does Merlin then declare.
When the time comes for war, Arthur must rally his armies. The number of soldiers and knights who answer his call depends directly on his glory. So the more glory he has, the better. Glory is earned through adventures and major battles. Each can grant you up to 12 points, so give it your all to make the most of every opportunity. But let's get back to the battlefield. To track the flow of combat, keep an eye on the battle point gauge. It ranges from negative to positive values, and it reflects the state of the battle. Negative is bad for you, while positive means the battle is turning in your favor. Be careful. If the gauge hits its minimum or maximum at the end of an assault, a special event is triggered. At the rout threshold, the enemy breaks through your lines and reaches Arthur himself. He'll have to fight for his life, and if he falls, it's game over. But if you reach the opportunity threshold, the tide turns. Your troops gain the chance to strike at the enemy general, and if they defeat him, they can even loot the enemy camp. The main way to gain or lose battle points is through assaults. The more enemies you defeat while keeping your own troops alive, the more points you'll earn. Between 1 and 2, depending on your performance. Take down their lieutenant as well, and you'll score an extra point. On the other hand, if you lose the engagement, you'll lose 1 to 2 points by the same rules, plus 1 more if your own lieutenant is defeated. When one of your knights is attacked, and their defense score is lower than the attack score of their opponent, the hit location wheel appears in the top right corner of the screen. It shows which body part will be hit, and more importantly, by how much your defense failed. But don't lose hope. This wheel also holds special zones, the special defenses. The first appears at -7, the second at -20. If the wheel lands on one of these spots, you unlock a rare opportunity, a secondary defense challenge. If you succeed, you completely avoid the attack. There are 3 types of special defenses: dodge, for fighters on foot; mount, for mounted combatants. If it fails, the damage is dealt to your horse instead of your knight. Bind, used in sword duels. It's the most powerful. Succeed, and you push your opponent back and throw them off balance. Sometimes, it's worth playing a low-value card on defense, or even spending virtue points to lower your score. Why? To land in one of these special zones and trigger a special defense.